All right. Good evening once again. So just in case you come across this uh, video clips, this is reaching you live from Digital Z Hub, an online platform where we train on technology across different trending domains such as cybersecurity, data analytics, data science, and so many other programs. Right, so this is a master class on data analysis, and this evening we shall be looking at another important data selection techniques in Python. We just concluded um, data aggregation, how we can use Python inbuilt aggregate functions to be able to derive actionable um, actionable, do I say trends from or identify trends, patterns, and outliers from our data set. Okay, so like I said, our focus is on introduction to data selection techniques in Python. So now, in data analysis generally, one of the most used technique for data analysis is filtering. So filtering is an important technique which every data analyst must understand, either whether you are using Excel or you are using Python or you are using SQL, you need to understand the concepts of data filtering. There are a lot of valid analysis questions that can be answered with this set of techniques we shall be looking at. So to start with, I'm going to create a new notebook because this is a different analysis from what we just concluded yesterday. So I have already opened my notebook via the Anaconda. Then it has already opened on web browser. So all I need to do is to create a um, project folder which we have already created. So I will just search for it here in case you are starting from scratch. There is need for you to go to either document or desktop to make a folder and then populate the folder with the data set you want to work with. In our own case, this is the folder I created, data. I start today Sunday data analysis training. I'll go in here and create a new notebook. So my new notebook, or to create a new notebook, just navigate to new while you are inside your project folder and then select Python 3. Right? So from Python 3, we have a new notebook created. So if it doesn't open automatically, all you need to do is just to double click on it. That will prompt you the notebook. So a notebook is an interface where you bring in all your data components, such as the libraries you want to use that will probably offer you the set of functions, uh, either for processing the data for insight or for restructuring the data. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is to use comments to explain the first exercise, which is importing the respective libraries. So I'll start by importing Python analysis library, analysis libraries such as import pandas, import pandas as PD. So we also need another library, import numpy as NP. And then we say from pandas import series. Series, the S is spelled capital letter, and the comma, data frame. The D and the F should be in caps lock. And then to execute my code, I'll simply click on this run icon. And there is a syntax error which says pandas as PDs. What is the error here? Import pandas as PD. Invalid syntax. Import pandas as PD.
No as. There is no as in
Okay,
between
good, good,
pandas and
good.
PD.
Thank you very much. Pandas as PD. Okay, good. So I believe that is resolved or is resolving. Right? Perfect. So the first thing is for me to create a data object in order to call in my data. So my data object is just like a variable where you intend to store the data set or acknowledge the data set in this very notebook. So I'll go back to my Jupyter notebook directory and find out the list of data sets that I have here. So I have Amazon sales data, which is in CSV format. I also have customer. So let me see, I have a set format as well. So let me bring in this particular one. So what I will simply do is to right click on it and copy the path and then go back to, I think I need to title this particular node as uh, data underscore selection underscore technique. Right? So I'll start by creating a data object. So let's say Amazon. Amazon is going to be the name of my data set in the notebook here. And then I will start by referencing the library that is offering me the function for importing or loading the data here. So PD, which represents pandas, concatenate it with the function within the pandas for reading Excel format. So I'll say Excel, or I'll say read, rather, say read underscore Excel, and then open a bracket. And then we are going to acknowledge the name of the file as a string. That is why we are enveloping it in the string. And then Control V to paste the name of the file that we copy earlier on. Then to avoid directory issue, I will use relative method. I will just put two dots, which means that it should go back two steps in order to reach out to the Amazon data set. I'll run it. Let's see if that is successfully loaded. Okay, so we have our data here. So to see the data, to view our data, we simply call the name of the object, object, data object, which is the Amazon. Then you can just type the first two letters and hit the tab button on your keyboard. That we call out the name and then shift and enter to get the data loaded. So we have the data set. So the next thing I'm going to do as a data analyst is to verify certain information about this data. So I want to start by knowing to start by knowing how many entries are in this data frame. How many entries are in this data frame? So I'll simply use an inbuilt attribute called the name of the data is Amazon. So I'll follow that syntax, hit my tab to call the name of it, and then concatenate it with uh, the shape, and then run it. That automatically tells me that we have 100 records within this data frame, and we have 14 good columns or pictures. So it means the data set is rich. So if I want to call out the name of the headers, I want to see the headers. In other words, I want to extract out the headers from this data set only. I don't want to view them and their values. So that is also how to call out only the data features or headers. So I'll simply use another inbuilt attribute or function. So by referencing the name of my data set, then concatenate it with columns, just columns, and run it, and then that calls out the headers. Okay, so now why I am doing this because I started a new notebook. So had even I continue with the previous notebook, there wouldn't have been need for all this because there is need for you to always prepare your data. That is one of the fundamental steps that cannot be omitted as a data analyst across almost all the data analysis tools. You must learn to prepare your data. Your data should be error-free data. That's exactly what I'm trying to find out. So after calling out the header, I discovered that there are some headers that require some adjustment. For example, this I need to clear the empty space because Python is going to have issue recognizing the type of data that space is. To avoid errors, so the first thing I'm going to do is to quickly rename some of the key headers that I feel I'm going to work with. So that takes us to how to rename the key headers for your analysis. So to do that, I will quickly call the name of the data set, which is Amazon, and then concatenate it with rename. Okay, so just say what? Rename is a function. Then you open the parenthesis bracket. Now we need to specify what we want to rename. We want to rename columns. And then equals to, now we need to acknowledge it as dictionary. Remember when we were learning basic Python, we did mention that dictionary is one of the multi-structure data type in Python. In other words, it has the ability of holding multiple values. But what differentiated dictionary from list or tuple was the fact that in dictionary, we use key and value to store information. So it means you have to activate dictionary brackets. So you should have known this. And then the center is that you start by the key one, and then this is the center. You put column here, and then the value 1, value 1. Okay, so that is the center because dictionary is a key value pair data type in Python. So that's just for us to understand the center. Remember that these headers are strings, so for that reason, we are going to put them in string, either single quotes or double quotes. So once that is done, the next thing I am going to do is to call the header, the existing header that I want to adjust. So I'll just highlight and control C to copy it, then come back here and paste it. So this is the key. So like the syntax I gave us, colon, we come in here before you paste in the same header and then remove the space. It's either you merge it or you add underscore. And then that is the end of that what the first header you want to adjust. So you put a comma and then call another key, which is the sales channel, Control C, and then paste. Then also insert your column and then another string, paste the same thing, then remove the space, or better still, you add underscore. So I have a couple of the headers that I feel that there's no way I am going to perform my analysis that I'm not going to involve them. So those are the ones I want to focus on. So I've captured this, I've captured this. I want to go to total revenue, to Control C as well. So this is the end of the second dictionary key. So put a comma, another string, then paste, then column, and then paste, then also collapse the space. Okay, so we still have another one to adjust. So you can actually break it if you feel that it's too long, you can break it. And then I'll bring in another string. The next header I want to modify is total cost. So Control C and also paste, the column, string, paste, remove the space or add underscore. In this case, let me just remove the space, comma, another object, which is the total profit. Total profit. And then Control C, Control C, and then paste also, right? Column, string, paste. So these are the headers that I want to adjust. But in some cases, you might need to add a particular attribute after declaring all the key and value. By coming here, you put a comma and say in place. In place equals to true. True or false should be capital letter. And then just in case it doesn't work without adding it, you can just add it. So what we did is that we just updated the data. That is what we did actually. So we just updated the data. So if I want to since if I want to save this particular copy, if I want to save this particular copy as a different, can you still hear me, please? So I want to find out if you can hear me.
I can hear you clearly.
All right.
Clearly.
All right.
Yes, sir. I'm with you.
Just give me. All right. So like I was explaining, so I added this in place equals to true attribute just in case without adding it if it doesn't work, so you can add it. So what we did is that we only updated the existing data set, which means that at this point, if you run Amazon, it will over these changes, we override what you have before. But if I want to take this output and store it in a different data set, then I will now add the object where this edited version will be stored. In other words, you will still be having the old version. Okay, so I will just say Amazon underscore subset, then equals to. So in this case now, I still have the original data intact. So I have the transform version stored in Amazon subset. So I run it. So let's call the one we just edited now and see if we have the attributes change. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so let me ensure that we have it first. Try calling only the Amazon, see if we are going to get the change version. All right, so now if you check, let's see if the changes were implemented. As you can see, we have everything changed, particularly those one. Remember that we edited the item type and we also edited this, so that is good. So now that I have done that, so I can take this particular copy now and equate it to another data set that I was trying to do. So Amazon underscore sub and then equals to this. So if I run this, just want to see if that is still going to work. Okay, so it's only updated it. Let's see. Okay. So what you will have done is to make a copy of that very one before you started implementing all these changes. All right, so now that we take us to our topic, now that we have data sets to work with. So what is data selection techniques are all about in data set? So this is a technique or set of techniques that help us to pull out or to select certain part or portion of our data set from the entire data frame for particular reason. So you might have your reasons why you want to select a particular portion of your data set. So for instance, if you go back to our data set, I'm going to quickly create two different data subsets from this, okay, just for the particular analysis you want to perform. So let's assume that you are given this data frame, okay, and it is not all the headers that will be involved in your analysis. So why leaving them when you know that the number of headers you have in your data set, sometimes if they are too much, can end up distracting you from focusing on the main section that will actually give you your insights. So in that case, as a data analyst, you cannot create subsets of data. Okay, so for example, the task is that from this data set, we should select region, country, item type, and then sales channel and the total profit and store it as a different data set. So in other words, from this data frame, we want to create a subset that could be used for the analysis we want to perform. So let me quickly put it in words so that to be clear to us. So what is the task? The task is create a subset data from Amazon. And what are the headers that should be in that subset? Region, comma, country, comma, item type, comma, and then 6 channels, then comma, and then we are just picking only one integer or number type, which is what? Total profits. Total profit. So how do we call out this section from this entire data? So the syntax is going to simply be we call the name. So the plan is that this should be recognized as a different data frame. So which means we are going to start by creating a data object series name. So let's name it as new data, new underscore data, and then equals to the current data set name, which is the Amazon, the one we have updated. And then we will now use square brackets. That is, we are using, since we are selecting more than one header, that is the reason why we are nesting list inside list by using the 2 square brackets. So the square brackets inside is the one that will define or highlight the headers involved. So the first one is this. So I'm taking this. Advise you copy from the data set to avoid typographical error, and they use comma to separate them within the square bracket. Then I'll capture the next one, Control C, then also paste, then add a comma string, capture the next one, which is okay. In fact, like we highlighted, the first one is going to be the first one is region. I think I mentioned region. Okay, so I'm adding a comma here. All right, so the next one is the country. I am also to add a comma here. So of course, the last one here is the total profit. So go down and scroll to the end, and then take the total profit. I believe we added underscore. I believe the underscore should be there. So Control C and then add it. That means the changes did not, let me see. So we're at fault. You can see that we did not add the underscore. So I need to rerun the whole of this so that to acknowledge it. Let me add the underscore here. Still running. So it's complaining that profit not in index. So let's see. Let me convert this to comment first and make sure that we acknowledge this. Okay, so let me bring this back. Run it. Okay, so that is sorted out. Now, if we want to view the data set, the subset data we created, we just call the new data and see if we have just that. So you can see, so with this, we have created another data object from the main data set. So this is part of the selection techniques that we are looking at. So I want to, from this data set, what I want is just to call out the first 10 and then store that as a different data set. After that, because I actually need two different data sets because there is a concept, there is one of the data selection function which we are going to use after we have selected two or more data sets, so we can now concatenate them. So the reason why I am doing all that so that I can have two or more data sets to concatenate. So that is the essence of what I'm trying to achieve. So far we have one subset, and then I can call out the revenue as a different as the second subset so that we can learn how to combine both of them together, because there are times as a data analyst, they can forward you two different data sets and expect you to join them together before you start your analysis. Okay, so now this is assumed to be the first one, and the second one is just calling out the revenue, the total revenue. So what I'm going to do, since it's just a single, I know we have, let me call out the Amazon data to check if we have it as a single word. Okay, so calling it out, this is, thank God that we have already added the underscore. So in that case, I will just use dots. So this is another method you can use when you are selecting a single column where the header is a single word description. For example, like country, just one word. Region is just one word. That is where you can use the dot as an alternative way of selecting data instead of using the square bracket. So if I call this is going to call out only what? The header, sorry, the values under this. So I want to store this as new 2 or new 1, or let's say new 2 underscore data equals to. So I have this as another subset. So if I call new 2, that is going to call out the value. So now that we have two different data sets, now we can now go for the selection technique. Remember, what we did is that we have completed illustrating how you can create sub data set from the main data set using the Python selection technique. But what we want to do now is that, because there will be a reason, so you will not just wake up and start selecting your data. It's actually due to a target. So in this case, we needed to bring these two data sets for us to be able to practice what we call data concatenation. So what is data concatenation in Python? When you concatenate your data, you create new data sets. So what you want to do exactly, you want to create another new data set by joining those two data sets we created or molded from the main data set. So the emphasis is on this function, okay, which we are deriving from pandas as one of the basic Python library for data analysis. Okay, so what we are going to do, so you often need to combine data frames so that you can analyze data from a mixture of sources. That is exactly the concept I am teaching us. Now, let's look at this scenario. This is what I have put together. If not, this will have lead us to, go into Excel or even write from Python here, developing these two data sets. But since we have already gotten that, so I just want to take you through the slide so that you understand the idea. So let's assume that as a new employed or as a data analyst working in an organization, the company first of all gave you this particular data set, and then later they now discover that there are some information that need to be added before you can perform your analysis, and they forward you the second one. So as a data analyst, you are not expected to analyze them differently. So how do you merge them together is the concept we want to learn. Okay, so now this is where I have joined them together using the Python function called concat. And that function, we are deriving it from a library called pandas. That is why you can see right there that is concatenated to what? Panda. Remember when we were importing pandas, we have already represented it as what? PD. Okay, instead of us calling pandas. So now, once you have activated the function, so combine is your data set one. Then combine two is the second what? Data set. So what is separating them is just a comma. Then after that, you have to add what? As is equals to 1. So I'm going to explain why we are adding that as is equals to 1. If you look at the description here, so this particular one is where you are concatenating based on rows value. That is, you are joining the two data sets horizontally, not vertically. So if I could just use my note to explain what I'm saying. So there's difference between you are joining, let's assume this is the first data set, and then you are, okay, let's say this is the first data set, okay, and then this is the first data set, this is the second data set. So in this case, you are joining them what? Horizontally, okay? Now, if you bring this one down here, so in other words, you are joining them what? Vertically. So if you are joining them vertically, there is no need of adding what? This particular attribute. So this attribute is only needed where you are joining them what? Horizontally. So I believe that is clear, sir. Can I get a response, please? Is that clear, sir? I hope you are following.
Yes, sir, I understand, sir.
All
So
right.
if you want to join it horizontally with the column names, what do you do?
With the column names. When you say with the column names, I
Yes.
don't understand what you mean by that.
Assuming you have the two tables, maybe the column name, you have first name here and first name on the other one, like in SQL or Excel.
Mhm.
They will want
Yes,
to, they usually merge based on columns.
yes, even this one we are merging based on column. You're going to see it. We are merging. Look at this here now. These are the column we use in merging. These are the headers now. You did not merge based on the numbers. The columns are still maintained.
Okay.
If I get you. So this is merging with column. The only thing is that is the mode of the arrangement of the data set that the axis equals to 1 is emphasizing on. Now let's go to the data
Okay.
set. Let's go to the data set. So what is a task? So the task is, now we have created our two different data sets. So one is new data, new underscore data, and the second one is new two underscore data. So the task given to you as a data analyst is now combine the two data sets. So as a data analyst, combine the two data frames. So what are the two data frame we are combining? The first one, so let's follow the center. Now, we are not just combining, like I defined in my slide, we are combining and end up, having a new data frame, which means you have to start by by creating that new data frame name equal, let's say final data. Okay, let's say final underscore data, to be more descriptive. And then you reference the library, which is pandas, and then concats.
Your number is going off.
Can you hear me? You cannot hear me. Hello? Are you still with me? I think check your side. Hope it's not from your end. Let me pause first. So, all right. So after activating the concat, now we are going to use that selection techniques that we just applied now using the square bracket. So that is the reason why we are bringing in the square brackets, because square brackets is one of the most used data selection techniques in Python. So once now, because you are selecting two different data sets, that is the reason why I have to put the what, the square bracket, and then we'll call the first data name is what, new. So depending, so you can actually choose the order, which one should come first. So the one you want to come first should be the first one to be mentioned. So that add a comma, then the next one is new 2. Okay, so once you have done this, now if you look at it without adding the axis, if I run this, I will have a result, and then for you to see the result, to see the results, so we just call the final data, and then you see how it's concatenated now. So we have a lot of missing value. That is what the NaN represents. Now, just because the way we concatenated. Now, let me add the axis here. After adding the comma, just say axis equals to 1, and then run it again. And then you see that what you will now have a proper what arrangement. Okay, hope that is clear, sir.
Yes.
All right.
Let me
So now,
see. Let me see the first two data, how they appeared first. That
okay.
is a new underscore one and
Yeah. This is new underscore data with region, country, item type, sales channel, total profit. And then here we just
so
store only one attribute, one header. And if you check here now, you can see that it's added. Hope it's clear now.
okay, the other attributes, how did we just separate them? We just call them the ones we wanted to separate out from the entire Amazon data. We just call them out.
Yes, now
That is
these are,
the new data one.
yes, new data
New
one.
data one. Let me see new data one.
This is new data one.
Okay.
This is new data.
All right.
And
Okay.
then this is what?
Okay.
New 2 data. And this is where we have joined them together. Hope that is clear.
Yes. Amazon, then the square bracket into
Yes.
two. I mean
So,
the upper one. Mm.
yes. So what we have done now is that we
Okay.
have,
Yeah. Concat.
so you can see it now. So
This
the
is
difference between this one and that one is that here you just outputted the value without recognizing them in a value storage. But there we created a final data. In other words, they are not just an output, but they are stored in a valid variable. Hope that is clear.
okay.
So now this is the illustration of without axis, which means you are joining based on column. So you can see it here. What I said here is what? That when you concatenate based on column, the only thing that you need to omit is what? No axis definition. So I've explained that. So now this is also part of it, but I believe that we have actually done this under data inspection or data cleaning, how to drop um, headers and their values using the drop function, but just a kind of revision since we have it here in case you have forgotten. So the focus here is the drop function. So when we say here, we are actually dropping based on the row. So if you check this number here, you can see that we don't have series 3, and we don't have series 4 compared to here.
Okay.
and you have series 3, then you have series 4. But at this point, you have dropped what? Those records. So in other words, the logic here is how do you drop records? So let me add it. Let's apply it here so that we can get the full logic. So here is how to drop data series or record. So let's assume that we want to drop record at index 2 and index 3. So the syntax will simply mean the name of the data, which is final, which is what? Final, and then concatenate it with the drop function, and then use the square bracket to select you can see how we are still utilizing the data selection techniques as we proceed. So each time we bring the square bracket, now you understand that we are about selecting. All right, so I'll specify that 2,
Okay.
2, 2, 3. So if I run it now, it will output that same data, but you observe that what? Record at index 2 has gone, and record at what? Index 3 has also what? Gone. Hope that is clear. So you just
Okay.
must understand that.
Very clear. Meanwhile, if you want to drop based on the column name,
Yes,
you call the data by not including that
as,
column.
exactly. Perfect. That is one of the quickest way of doing that. All right, so now let's go back to the slide and see what next. So let's quickly look at data addition. Data addition is another data selection technique. So here we are looking at a different function from the logic, the concats that we have used so far. So data frame, so the emphasis here is on this function, join, together with this attribute, data frame. So data frame is an inbuilt function. We are concatenating it with the join function, and then we are passing the 2 or 3 data sets that you want to join together. So this is a direct alternative method to concat. So where you feel that you are not too conversant with the concat, you can use the join method, but that falls under what? Addition. So let's just take note of the syntax before we proceed to our data sets. All right, so now you can see that here, the syntax here, okay, let's quickly go there and attach it to analysis task so that it will be more understandable. So here we are using another concept of concatenation. But this time around, using data frame and join function together. So what is the task? So we are going to use those 2 data sets that we joined with concat. Let's say we want to use this concept to achieve that same thing that we did. So here, join the previous data subsets created from Amazon data. Okay, so now remember the new the name of those data. So I'll start with, let's say this one is join underscore data in order for us to differentiate it from the previous one. So I'll simply say data frame. Remember that the D and F should be in cap lock dot John. And then the first one is new. First one is new data. The comma, the second one is new to data. And then if I run it, you have my answer or the result stored in what? Join data. So perfect. So you can see at the end of the day, you have two methods to consider whenever you want to join or concatenate your data. I believe this one is also clear, sir. So I think this one
No,
is,
no, no. This one I didn't get that.
did you understand the logic?
Another
Hello?
concept using the data frame
Yeah,
and join.
yes, another
I can hear
concept
you.
of concatenation, right? Using
Okay.
using data frame and what? Join function. So here we are using
Okay.
two different functions. One is data frame, second one is what? Join. And the syntax here, this is a new data object that I created. And then this is the first attribute, joining it with the function join, and then calling the two, even if they are up to 3 data sets, all you need is just to be separating them with what? Comma. And then I finally call the name of my object to see the output. Is that clear now?
Okay, it's clear, it's clear, it's clear, it's clear.
Okay.
Okay.
Now,
That data frame dot join is constant. That is the
good,
syntax.
good, good. They are constant. Yes,
Mm.
yes. All right. Now let's quickly see if we can cover. So here, let's quickly look at data sorting. Data sorting. So what do we mean by sorting? I believe this is not our first time of hearing the word sorting in the field of data analytics. Sorting simply means choosing an arrangement method for your data, which as data analysts can actually answer a lot of valid analysis questions. Because if I sort my data in ascending order, I can easily view the the top lists. And then if I sort my data in descending order, I can easily view what? The top what? Lists. So that is looking at it from the angle of how, as a data analysis, I can use sort to answer valid analysis question. So just like I've described it here, so object name is the name of your data set that or data frame that you want to sort. So the main function is this. So this is the main function. Sort underscore value. Then by is an attribute which we use in specifying the header that will be used as the criteria for the sorting. Did you understand that? Is it clear, sir?
Yes, yes, it's okay. I can get it, sir.
Okay. Okay, so since you understand it, now let me explain the other attributes which are very, very important. We understand them. Now, the ascending that we have here is a constant attribute which regulates the order of the arrangement, whether to be ascending or descending. So where you can see as illustrated here, so there's a little adjustment you are expected to make here. So where your ascending value is equals to false, what you are going to get is what? You are going to get a ascending order, not descending order like I've labeled it. So let me change this to, so this is to give us ascending order. This is to give us ascending. So this is to give us ascending order. So where you have true, that is what? Descending order. So let's quickly go and implement this with the data we are working with for us to understand it better. So what is the task here? So the task here is data sorting technique in Python. All right. Now, the task here is that sort the Amazon data in ascending order or descending. So the syntax, the sorted data, I want it to be saved differently from the unsorted data. So for that reason, I will just say, okay, okay, let's say where I want to do ascending. So ascend is equals to, then the object is the data set, which is the Amazon. So I'm working with this, the Amazon dot sorts as the function underscore values, and then you open the function bracket, then by equals to, I'll select the header. The header I want to use to sort. So in other words, we need to update it in our tags. Sort the Amazon data in ascending order based on country, for example. So country is the criteria for the sorting. So let me just take it from here. So Control C and then put it here. All right. So now after that, you have to come outside the square bracket and specify the constant, which is the ascending, and then to define the type of order, and then you select any of the Boolean value, either false or true. Make sure that the first letter should be in capital letter. So let me run this and see what we get. So to display it, let's just call the object name, which is the S, and then run it. And then now, for you to know if Python have actually sorted the data, focus on the country and see if the value there are sorted. You can see this is false, and this is what? This should be descending order. This should be descending order, which means that I have corrected before. So false is descending order. So let's change it to true. Let's change it to true and see what we get. Okay, so you see that what? You now have it in ascending order. So true will give us ascending order, while false will give us descending order. So as a data analyst, what kind of question can this answer? So for example, the list 10 entry based on probably certain criteria here will be what? This particular country, Albania, Angola. Then if I want to know the top 10 country, then I will use what? False. I hope that is clear, sir. Is that clear? Also. Hello, sir. Is that clear?
Are you still here? Hello? All right, so I hope you got the last explanation. Hello, sir. It's like you are still having network issue. So we are going to stop here, and your assignment is to go and practice everything we have done. And then I'll see you on Saturday again, same time, 8 p.m., sir. I will communicate to you. We should be able to start our other class